19 8-watt LEDs surrounded by a RGB strip and packed into a Zoom moving headlight. Jerry back with that Theatrically Jerry, and today we are going to be reviewing UKING ZQ02102. So first things first, we're going to check and see what the manufacturer includes with this light fixture. The first thing, of course, is your user manual. This one is rather small, and the font is rather small as well. So if you can't see, get your reading glasses out because it's pretty small. But anyways, it does have your 25 and 17 channel description here, just in case you need to make a custom fixture profile, as well as the stats of the light fixture itself, some of the safety stuff, as well as mounting, how to mount it. So definitely keep this, obviously. The next thing they have included is a quick release. So we have our compression springs here that tighten up against the fixture when they are rotated. And I don't usually prefer these, but I'm glad to see that they've at least included these instead of something else. So that's cool. The ZQ02102 measures in at 15.74 inches high by 12.7 inches wide and 8.85 inches deep, making this a medium-sized compact Zoom Wash. It weighs in at a modest 13 pounds. Most of this weight was kept down thanks to its newly designed plastic housing. So most, if not all, of this light fixture is plastic. So it's going to make mounting a breeze because it's super lightweight. I would have preferred to see a lot more aluminum, but also at the same time to keep this fixture's price down, as well as to keep it as easy as possible to mount, they have created this new style of light that's mostly plastic. Let's go ahead and take a look at the front lens element here just to see what's going on. The front of this mover features a zoom plate mechanism. Behind each of these optics are 19 8-watt RGBW LEDs. So 8 watts isn't super bright, and we'll take a look at that later on in the video. Surrounding the plate is 60 0.5 watt 50/50 SMDs, or surface mounted diodes, capable of RGB color mixing, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at those later as well in this review. The total rated power of this fixture is 220 watts. So below the main optics here is a user menu interface. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. The user interface consists of a full color LCD display. It's a rather small one, but it does its job just fine. To the right here, we have our up, down, menu, and enter buttons, and these buttons feel great, and they also function as they should. You do get a little bit of an auditory click when you select them, so that's great. To the left of the display is your DMX and error LED lights. The LED light here next to DMX will emit green when it's receiving a DMX connection. The LED light below that is your error LED, and it will emit red if the fixture detects an issue with things such as its pan or tilt motors or the zoom plate motor. So if you ever see that lit up, you'll know that you have a problem with your light fixture. The back of this fixture has a pretty typical layout. I do like how neat it's laid out here, so it makes connecting more than one light fixture in a chain a lot easier. We have our 3-pin DMX in. We also have our 3-pin DMX out. We have our PowerCon in and our PowerCon out. And then next to that is your reseatable fuse. So if this ever pops, you can replace it or reseat it, as long as the fuse isn't burnt out, of course. If it's burnt out, you're going to need to replace it. Below that is your on and off toggle switch. It is a rather small one, but I'm glad to see that they have included it with this light fixture, because I've noticed a lot more that manufacturers aren't including power switches with a lot of their fixtures. It's simply just plugging it in and it's on, and I don't really care for that. I like a little more control on my lights, so I'm glad to see that they have included that as well. Let's go ahead and power this fixture on to check out the user interface and the built-in menus. So to power this on, we're going to go ahead and turn the switch to on here in the back. So like most moving headlight fixtures, this is going to go through a bunch of built-in tests to make sure its motors are working correctly, as well as calibrating the X and Y axis to make sure where home is on the light fixture. So after that, you're going to see this loading screen here disappear. So right now, it's running all of its tests. It has passed all of its tests. As you can see, it hasn't thrown a red error code LED light. And you are greeted with the main user interface here. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the built-in menu options. Alright, so the first thing you're going to notice is that the screen is going to go black. This is due to the screensaver mode on this light fixture. It creates less distraction when these are hung up on your truss system. You can, of course, disable that feature in the menus, and we're going to look at that a little bit later. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and hit enter so I can show you the main user interface. So right here, it's going to tell you your device operation mode. Right now it's in DMX mode. This middle part is going to tell you the temperature of this light fixture. So I was surprised to see on a fixture of this price range that they have included temperature sensors for the light fixture. This is both for troubleshooting, just in case your fixture is getting too hot, but it's also to tell the main system how fast to operate the variable speed fan, and we're going to look at that a little bit later. To the right here is your device channel number. So right now it's in its 25 channel mode. Right here we have our device settings. That's one of the menus. We have our DMX menu, our manual setting, info, facts, your language setting, your display direction setting. So right now it's in inverse. We also have our reset here. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these menus. So in order to do that, you're going to hit the down button. Our first menu is set. So set has our DMX address. That's where you can set your address to whatever you would like. It goes from 001 to 512, so typical. We have our channel mode. So the standard channel mode for this light fixture is 25 channel, but you can also run it in 17 channel mode. I prefer 25. Sound regulator, that's a funny way of putting that. It is your sound sensitivity. Right now it's set to 35. You can, of course, adjust that to your liking. We have our invert pan. Right now it's off. And our invert tilt. So basically what that does is it causes your pan or your tilt to go in the opposite direction of what it's going in default. Below that is your pan tilt swap, so you can actually swap your channels, pan for tilt and tilt for pan. Your pan tilt encoder, that's on. You definitely want to leave that on. No DMX signal. I was actually surprised to see they've included this feature you see on more expensive light fixtures. So basically what this means is if your DMX signal is lost from your console to your light, how do you want the light to react? So if it gets no DMX signal, you can select keep, and that's going to keep whatever signal was last sent to the light fixture going. You can clear it, which means the light fixture is going to shut off and go back to its factory default position. So you do have both of those options of how this light fixture is going to react if it loses its signal. I like to keep it on keep because I never want my stage to randomly go completely dark, if that makes sense. So keep is a good option. Display time, as I discussed earlier, this is for your screensaver. Right now it's set for 60 seconds, so after 60 seconds it will go dark. Or you can keep it as always on, so it's always going to remain on instead of going dark. But I think the 60-second setting is perfect. This is brightness of your LCD display. So you can actually set it to however you want. It's at 60 as default, which actually looks fine, but you can set it all the way up to 100% or all the way down to 0. Load default. This is going to load all of the default settings from the factory. You can select OK or cancel. I'm going to cancel that. And those are all of the sub-menus under the menu for set or settings. The next menu is DMX, auto, random, or sound controlled. So I prefer just keeping it at DMX because that's how this light fixture is going to be controlled. So we'll leave it at DMX. Manual is the next menu. Manual is going to allow you to set your DMX channels, the values from the light fixture itself. This is if you were running this as standalone or master or slave and you're not using a light console, you can control this fixture directly from the menu here, and that includes your pan tilt speed, your dimmer, your red channel, green, blue, white, your strobe, your focus, your auto run speed. So those would be for your built-in macros. Your pan fine, your tilt fine, and your reset, as well as the ring speed. All of those can be controlled from this light directly. Info. DMX monitor, you can actually monitor what your DMX channels are set to live. I love this feature. You also only see this on more expensive light fixtures. So I was glad to see that they've included that. System errors, if you have an error, it will tell you. It will also be lit up red here. So 2 different ways to tell if your light fixture has an error. We have your LED temp, so the temperature of the LEDs. Your device hours, your LED hours, and the versions of the software that are included on this light fixture. Next we have FACT. This is short for factory. You can access the factory settings if you have the password. They don't tell you it in the user manual, but I'm sure if you email them, they will give you the correct password. I did figure it out myself. It wasn't that hard, but to be honest, I don't remember what it is at this time, but I did figure it out, and there wasn't really anything I needed to access in there. It's mostly just calibration settings. The next thing here is your language. Right now it's set to English. You can, of course, set it to Chinese. INV inverts the display here, just in case you have this set up on your truss system upside down. The screen will be the correct orientation for you, so you don't have to read it upside down. If this is obviously standing on a flat surface, you're going to want to switch it back. And our last setting here is our reset setting. Are you sure you want to reset? I'm going to hit OK. And this is going to reset the moving head back to its factory default position as well as settings. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the built-in macros or shows that the manufacturer has included with this light. So the macro channel can control your LEDs separately. So we have our red and we have our green, our blue, and our white. Then we can, of course, do our yellow, our pink. This is a CTO color temperature, so this is a warm white. We have our aqua. We have a nice light green color here. We have a lavender color. We have a cool white. We have a medium white, so not quite cold or warm, but definitely neutral. We have a really bright purple. We have a cyan. We have another temperature of white here. And then we move into our color mixing, and this is one of the built-in macros. So this is going to just cycle through the available colors that the manufacturer has programmed. Then we get into some more of our programs. We have a introduction to the LED ring here that's built into one of the macros. And you can control the speed of this with the speed channel. The speed channel also does change colors as well as direction for some of the macros. This is another built-in macro channel, so this is going to do some of the built-in programs from the manufacturer, and this can be controlled from the macro channel on this light fixture. So you can control this from your light console. I love seeing that they included that. You also have a sound sensitive mode, so this is going to react to sound. You can control that from your console as well. And as stated, you can control the speed of these programs with the channel next to it. So the channel next to it is going to be controlling your macro speeds. And that is channel 20 if you're in 25 channel mode. Alright, so channels 24 and 25 control the built-in macros for the ring light here, and I am going to show you a few of them. We have red, green, blue, and then we have a really nice lime green color, and a light purple. We have our aqua or cyan. We have a cool white, and then we go into built-in macros. So you can control the speed of these as well with the channel next to it, so you can slow them down or speed them up. The ZQ02102 features a 8-bit linear dimming system. The white LED is rated at 8000K color temperature, so a cool white. Let's go ahead and use that to test how smooth the dimming is on this mover. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring this up to full intensity. This is all 3 rings on. By the way, you can control each individual ring on this light fixture. There is a center dot, there is a middle ring, and then there is an outer ring. And they can be controlled with RGBW, so you do have control of those. Right now I'm using all 3 on white to test the linear dimming. So we're at 100%, and I'm going to just go ahead and bring this to 0. And then I'm going to bring it back up to 100. And then I'm going to bring it back down to 0. Now, I do suspect that this is not going to handle dimming well on the lower end, because affordable LED pars and movers can't really control the lower end of the LED lights intensity. So let's go ahead and see just how well this can handle that. I'm at 0%. Here's 1%, no lights are on. Here's 2%. So as you can see, 2%, the lights immediately kick on, which is something I expected or suspected with this light fixture. Here's 1%, and then here's 2%. So it's not dimming very smooth because it's only an 8-bit linear dimming. So there's not a whole lot of steps it can use to create a super smooth dimming. Here's our 3%. So as you can see, 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 5 and then 6 and so on. You don't have a whole lot of control at the lower end. So from 6 to 0, you're going to see every step of this dimmer, and 1's off, and then 0's also off. So it's not a super smooth linear dimming system. At the higher range, we got 255, and then we're going to drop it to 254, 253, 252, 251, 250. So as expected, at the higher range, you do have more steps. So the dimming is a lot smoother at the higher range than it is at the lower range, where you're going to see each step of this light when it's dimming. If you dim it quickly, it's almost like just basically an on and off. It's not a super smooth dimming effect. So, with that being said, it's definitely an 8-bit linear dimming system. Do not expect theater quality dimming with this light. This 19 by 8 watt Zoom Wash is capable of producing a 0 to 25 hertz strobe, or so it says. Let's go ahead and see how well the refresh rate is in terms of strobing. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this up. This is the strobe channel. So this is the slowest it's going to strobe. It looks great. All of the LEDs are firing at once. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the channel even more. So we're getting to a higher strobe rate here. I'm going to bring it up to the highest it will go. So this is their claimed 25 hertz. It's definitely a very bright strobe. It doesn't look like 25 hertz to me, simply because I can see each individual LED refreshing. So I would say it's more of a 20 hertz strobe, simply because when you get to 25 hertz to 30 hertz, your eyes perceive it as almost like a solid light instead of seeing individual pulses. And you can see individual refreshes or pulses of this light at its highest setting. So I'm going to say it's a lot lower than 25 hertz. You can also do a lot of random strobing. I'm going to go ahead and bring my shutter speed to a much higher rate so you can actually see this a little better. So there's our highest refresh rate. You can also do random strobe, so it will randomly do a bunch of different strobe pulses if you want. And you can also do a very slow strobe. So it definitely is capable of doing one strobe per second, as you can see here. At its highest, it is not a 25 hertz strobe. I would say more like a 20 hertz, simply because you can see the individual refresh rates. I do not think it's a bad strobe. It looks great. It's super bright. This light fixture is blinding right now, but As far as strobe goes, it looks great to me. A lot better than the dimmer did. So one of the coolest features of this Zoom Wash is that it is, well, a Zoom Wash. What that means is that the front light plate here is capable of moving in and out, causing a shift in the beam angle. The ZQ02102 can zoom from a narrow 10-degree beam to a wide 60-degree wash. Let's see how well it zooms in and out, as well as the actual beam angle. So I'm going to give you guys a look with the lights off here. And as you can see, the front plate is moving in and out, which causes the shift in your beam angle to be narrow and then wide. Let's go ahead and take a look at it with some lights on. So I have the shutter set to 1/4000th of a second. As you can see, there is some banding with these LEDs, so if photography is an issue for you, you will notice banding at a much higher shutter speed. But I am putting it at this so I can show you guys exactly what this light is doing with the LEDs. So when it's zooming in, you can see that the LEDs here are evenly dispersed, and then when it zooms out, it concentrates that beam of light and creates a nice beam of light. So basically like a beam fixture. This is going to be your 10-degree beam angle, and it's going to be a tight 10-degree beam angle. And then when it disperses the LEDs into a wash, you get your 60-degree beam wash. And we're going to go ahead and look at that on the wall to give you guys a better idea of what that looks like. So we have our tight 10-degree beam angle here, and I'm going to take that to the 60-degree wash. I don't really think this is a 60-degree wash on this fixture. That's just what's stated on the product page. I would expect it's probably maybe 45 degrees, 50 being generous, but with a 60-degree wash you would see a lot more spill over this way. Granted, this light is pretty close to the wall, so we are going to do a much further away view of that as well. Alright, so we are about 15 feet away from the wall here, and we have it at our 10 degree. Let's go ahead and see how well this performs as a wash. So as you can see, there's a dramatic change from when we were looking at it close to the wall and then when we are looking at it further away. So the beam angle on this is actually really great. At both ends, you get a nice tight beam here, 10 degree, and then you get the alleged 60 degree wash. I'm not going to say that it's probably not 60 degrees. We don't really have a way of measuring that, but I will say it does cover from one side to the other. You're not really seeing it over here because there's a block, but as you can see, it does cover from here to there. So it definitely is a wide wash. You're not going to be disappointed with the wash on this. And I'm really surprised these are 8-watt LEDs because they are super bright, so I'm not really sure what they did to make them that way, but 8-watt doesn't seem like a lot, but I can assure you that these are plenty bright for a small to medium-sized venue, so you don't have to worry about them being too dim. And again, this is the zoom. It's very smooth. And you're getting your 10 degree and then your 60 degree wash here. So it does check as working very well as a beam as well as a wash light. Let's go ahead and take a look at the colors from further away as well, just to give you guys an idea. So we have our red, our green, our blue, this is our cool white, and as stated earlier, this does have a CTO effect to it, so you can adjust the temperature of the white, and you're going to see that in a few seconds here. We have yellow, we have our pink, and this is our warm white light that is included with the mover, so you do have some control of the color of white on this. We have our aqua, this is just a super weird color to me. It's almost like a minty green color. Got a nice blue, an even lighter blue. This is another white that is included. This is more of a neutral white. Got a light pink. Got a sky blue. This is another white, another cool white. So those are some of the colors you can do with this fixture, and I'm going to let it cycle through them so you can kind of see them better. I'm running at 1/750th of a second on the shutter speed. You don't really see any, maybe just slightly a little visible banding, but again, for you guys that are wondering if this is for photography, it looks like 750 and above you're going to get banding here on these LEDs. That's due to the PWM, or pulse width modulation. As you can see, even my ceiling lights that are LED are going to do it at some point, so it's not really a deal breaker. It seems like 1/1000th of a second, wow, that's hard to say, doesn't have too bad of banding. And this is 1/500th of a second. Alright, so I've removed my external microphone. I like to do that when I'm reviewing the sound of these units, just to give you guys a much more fair review on these. This particular mover, the ZQ02102, has a 540/220 degree pan and tilt. So it can pan 540 degrees and tilt 220 degrees. Normally movers have a 540/270, but as you can see, this front element, this is the max that it's going to tilt downwards. So it has a 220 degree tilt. Let's see how quick the motors are, as well as the noise they create. So I'm going to go ahead and pan this as fast as it'll go from 0 to 100. motors aren't obnoxiously loud, but you are going to hear them. They do have a whine to them, but it's not super distracting, so it doesn't bother me too much. The speed kind of bothers me. Let's see how quickly it does its 540 degree pan here. So 1, 2, 3. It's about 3 seconds. So it takes 3 seconds to go from 0 to 540 degrees. There are faster light fixtures, obviously, but that's not unacceptable. It's definitely an acceptable amount of speed for that. Let's check out our tilt. So the tilt motor is kind of noisy, more so than the pan motor, but again, not super distracting. It's an acceptable amount of sound. Let's see how quickly this can go from 0 to 220 degrees. So it goes from 0 to 220 degrees in under 2 seconds. So that's pretty fast for that. Again, this particular light fixture does have a 16-bit pan and tilt. So what that means is you're going to get a pan and tilt fine-tuning channel. Those are on channels 21 and 22. So you can actually control these with a 16-bit pan and tilt, which is nice to see on a fixture, again, of this extremely low price range. I was surprised to see that as well. Let's try doing both. That's both at the same time going from 0 to 100%. It's got a pretty fluid and smooth movement to it for doing the X and Y axis at the same time. This mover also has an active cooling system. What that means is that it has a built-in variable speed fan, as you can see right here. This fan will adjust its speed according to the temperature of the fixture. As we saw earlier, it does have a built-in temperature sensor, so it does know when it needs to adjust the fan's speed. Let's go ahead and hear how loud it is from about a foot away from the camera right here. Fan speeds are always very important to people, especially in quiet settings. So as you can see, it did kick on. Should say as you can hear. So the fan is on right now, and we do have all of our LED lights on, so that should generate quite a bit of heat. You can also check the temperature of the fixture right here. It's running at 37 degrees Celsius, so it's actually heating up quite quickly. We are at 64 degrees Celsius. It's been on for a little over 6 minutes with every single LED on. So the maximum temperature set by the factory for this light fixture is 80 degrees Celsius. That is the hottest the fixture is going to allow the lights to get before the safety feature kicks in and the lights shut off. So this needs to stay below 80 degrees Celsius. And right now it's at 66 degrees Celsius. So it's still within range after about 10 minutes of me running this with every single LED on. So that's the red, green, blue, and white LEDs. So after about 20 minutes with all of the LEDs on, the temperature never really got above 69 degrees Celsius, and the thermal cutoff is at 80 degrees, so the fan is doing its job. However, I don't think it's super adequate. it could be a lot cooler. It could run a lot cooler. Let's go ahead and turn off all these lights and see how quickly this fixture cools off. So right now I'm turning all of the LED lights off. They're all off right now. And we should see this temperature drop pretty quickly, especially with this active cooling system, if it's doing its job as it's supposed to. So as you can see, the temperature does plummet quite quickly, and the active cooling system has turned its fans off when it gets below 59 degrees Celsius. If you're interested in purchasing this fixture, you can do so with my direct link. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below too. I do try to answer them as quickly as I can. And if stuff like this interests you, DJ lighting, stage lighting, atmospherics, or equipment, go ahead and subscribe to my channel at Theatrically Jerry. And thank you guys for watching.